Nobody knows me better than these two girls right here. So if anybody was going to dissect me live, I don't like the way that sounded.
Yeah, that sounded weird.
Just dissect me
I didn't
live.
know we were going that far.
Before we started tonight, she said, we're going to wait. We're going to let the... Why are you looking at me like that already? We're gonna let this get situational. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah? So I told Seth, I said, look, if we're going to do a good podcast, we can't be surface. We can't just be talking about like, surface stuff. You got to hit hard. You got to hit deep. So I gave Vanessa free reign to ask the most personal, most deep, potentially embarrassing questions, some of which I might not answer. We'll see.
No.
But
you decline to answer?
I can decline to answer. Yeah, I can decline to answer. Yeah, because on the grounds of incriminating myself, or I don't know. I'll answer everything to the best of my ability.
This is fun because I feel like sometimes I imagine that I'm in a podcast, like I'm in my room, like I'm a celebrity being asked questions or something. I feel like it's fun. Like, I don't know.
And now you're on your own podcast, the Cruce family.
Even being the person to ask the questions or answer them, I feel like it's fun.
So Malika had like the stewardess voice going on earlier.
Oh my God.
And she was like, I'm gonna halfway through this thing, I'm gonna turn it into ASMR and start tapping on things. That whole weirds me out.
On ASMR, but I feel like it's actually relaxing. You just have to have an open mind.
Yeah, you do gotta have an open mind.
ASMR, but like the simple taps, like. Can
you guys go ahead. You're dying to do it. Just.
Yeah, Vanessa has nails. It's better.
You're dying.
Quiet on the floor. Welcome back to Cruce Talk.
It's so freaking weird. It's so freaking weird. All right, guys. First podcast. So let's jump in. Let's dive in. Vanessa, what do you got tonight? What's on the plate? I'm ready.
We're starting out strong here, guys.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm sure this is a question everybody wants to know.
Okay.
I certainly do. Cats or dogs? Oh, jeez.
What, like as a pet?
Yes.
Well, I'm a cat person probably by nature, but I love dogs too. But the problem is all of the dogs that I've ever had have died in these really tragic ways. So about 4 or 5, 6 dogs deep into like hurt over doggy death, I just decided I was done with dogs.
Was it you who had the dog that died from bees stinging it? That
What?
wasn't you?
That was no. I didn't have that. That's what would happen to my next dog if I got a dog. You know what I'm saying? No, like my last dog got eaten by a leopard. I think I was like 15 or 16 years old, and after that, I was like, I'm done.
That's so
my poor
awful.
dog got hung in a tree.
I didn't understand pet love until I got a cat. Now thinking about something happening to my baby boy does make me.
It's like
cry.
your baby.
Yeah.
It's like your baby. It's like your baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So both. I'm both, but probably more cat.
Okay.
All right.
I'll get with that.
Are you like
Catwoman
slowly?
Myself, so I
Yeah,
have to agree.
You're the mother of cats.
I am. She is.
But here's the thing: are we just kind of touching our toes to the water with these questions? You wanted to know.
I just really wanted to start off with that.
Okay, I like it. I'm with it. I'm with it. Deep, doggy. Deep. Anyway, go ahead. Just okay. Next question.
So, let's see, Malika, what are you thinking? Can I take a look? You sure can. Okay, this is a good one. I think I came up with this.
Okay.
What is something you're looking forward to with age? Like as you get older, like something that's actually joyous as you become an old little man.
The nursing home.
What? Don't
Yeah.
lie. Elaborate.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. Can't work. Don't have visitors. You're too old for anybody to call you. No one cares, and you just sit around and watch birds. That sounds freaking awesome. I can't wait. I'm really, really excited about that.
Is that your genuine answer?
Yeah.
Really? You're not ending up in a nursing home.
I'm already old. I'm still loving every day. So
Okay. All right. I'll let you have that. Well, I feel like that was a good question.
You feel like I didn't. You want me to get deep with it? I can get deep with it.
That's the point. Like.
I would say watch my children grow up, but you guys have already done that to me, which has been an awesome process. But I think maybe grandkids. Yeah, grandkids would be. Yeah, grandkids. And
you've made that known.
Where my grandkids can play with my little kids and they're the same age.
Weird.
A little bit weird.
All right, I have one.
Hit me.
What is your biggest insecurity? Genuinely.
That's a tough one. Biggest insecurity. Oh, now you see. Now you're ticking. Now you're ticking. You're getting deep. I don't know how to answer that.
Don't want it to be known.
No. I'm trying to think of. So this is what my thought would be. There's certain feelings and certain things that I kind of don't let myself feel, because jealousy, for example, we've talked about this on the channel before. Jealousy is one of those things that when you allow yourself to feel that emotion, it consumes you, right? It eats you. It just kind of chews you up. And there's nothing good that really comes from jealousy. So whenever I feel like jealousy, it'd be one of those emotions I just shut down.
I do the same exact thing, actually. I think it's the worst. To me, it's the worst emotion ever. Like, whenever I feel even a slight bit of jealousy, I do not allow it to eat me. Like, I just
How do you cut it? How do you shut it down? How do you cut it off?
Well, it depends. Like, if I'm thinking like jealousy, like if I'm like someone's prettier than me, or I think someone like more than that, if I just admire certain qualities about someone, instead of it being jealousy, I kind of turn it to admiration. Like, everybody has things that are going to be better than you, but also worse. Like, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. There's going to be, even if I was Megan Fox or like Margot Robbie pretty, there'd still probably be another prettier person in the world.
I think you're prettier than Margot Robbie, and that's saying something. That's saying something. I just flatter you here.
So it'll just eat you alive. There's no point to feeling jealousy. Like,
facts.
Anyway.
Facts. I'd say to answer your question, biggest insecurity, I would think probably would be. So let's dissect the word insecurity. I think it's easy to think surface when you think insecurity, like it has to be physical, but physical kind of comes and goes. I would say for me, the insecurities would be more emotional, right? So in the sense of maybe depression would maybe be an insecurity, because it's something that I know I'm going to struggle with, that I have always struggled with. And so it makes my life insecure or unstable in a degree. Now, obviously you get to a point where you can kind of start battling it, right? So you learn how to identify that insecurity, or in my case would maybe be depression, and saying, okay, I know what this is. I know how devastating it is. I know how to attack it and kind of deal with it, but it's always there and it's not really going to go anywhere, right? So I'd say that might be probably my biggest insecurity.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but then at the same time, that you're dealing with something that's common to a lot of people, right?
Like, you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that's not,
When you talk, pull it to you, and when I talk, I'll pull it to me.
Okay.
Just 'cause.
Okay. All right.
That was a good question. That was a good one. We're jumping in there with that.
So let's see.
That's what you got. What you got in your bag of tricks?
What is one of the biggest battles that you fight with your human self? Not your spiritual self, but your human self. Lust, probably. And anger. I would say definitely before anger. Okay. Anger was definitely like the one thing that I felt that I could never conquer. I was about to go into stories. We said, okay, we talked before this. We said, okay, is there anything that's off limits? Just don't incriminate me on camera, right? Don't ask me anything that's going to incriminate me.
Like, how did you get better with anger? Like, how did you handle it more? Because I feel like sometimes I'm an angry person. Like, things will tick me off. Like, and then like you get that urge. Like, I don't punch a wall, but that urge of like like video game almost anger. Like, how did you face that in your life?
I think old age has a lot to do with it. The older you get, the less energy you have to be angry, and then you kind of realize that that being angry doesn't really solve a lot. I think there's also a righteous anger that you could have towards things that are wicked, right? So say like pedophilia or things in our time that are just terrible. I think you can be angry at certain things like that and be righteous and it not be in this all-consuming thing. I think for the longest time, anger, but it was such a forefront thing for me that it overshadowed lust, right? Because this was the one thing that I was struggling. Yeah. But as I've learned to kind of deal with anger, and I think a lot of that has to deal with managing depression, right? I think a lot of it has to do with circumstances. When you can get to a place in life where you're genuinely happy with where you're at, you kind of know who you are. That comes with age, right? You get into your 30s, you kind of know who you are, you know what you want to be, you know what you're doing a little bit more than when you're in your 20s, right?
I don't mean to interrupt, but is there possible that you can turn the volume up on this mic? Because a lot of people are saying they can't hear us, so I'm just not sure.
Try that.
Is that better? You say something, Vanessa?
Hello? Can y'all hear us?
Hopefully that's better. That's why I said pull it if you talk, and I'll pull it if I talk.
We'll
get an extra mic in the coming episodes. Don't fret.
Yeah, we'll get an extra. We'll throw in Oh, so this means you're planning for the long-term mic? Is that what's happening?
We'll see how this goes.
Now. Yeah, so I'd say to answer your question, currently that would be the one thing the thing that's cool about, and this is what I really wanted to dive into. I mean, because these are not going to be easy subjects to address in a public forum. with your kids, right? But Vanessa was over. So Vanessa works for me, and she was over the other day, and she was talking about just kind of some stuff that we've been through in our life, and just some things that we've had to overcome as a family, as a father, as daughters, and just, you know, the obstacles that life throws at you. And she had talked about, maybe she was trying to convince me I needed to go to therapy a little bit. She was like, you should go see a therapist or counselor. And I was just like, I don't see the purpose. I just don't see the purpose, because how do you know this person's genuinely interested, that they care, that they're even listening? And then I made the comment, I would do it if it could be streamed live.
I do not know how you would do that. I think I would rather die than have my therapy session streamed live. Like, actually.
Why? I think that's a great idea.
Because
live from the couch.
I have to say,
you want to be my therapist? We'll go live.
With being in therapy, things that I'll laugh about with Vanessa and Amelia, I end up like, I'll get really emotional. So I think there's things that you don't think bother you until you speak about it in a more like, you feel like a closed setting that actually might upset you more than you think it would. That's what I think.
Yeah,
but it could be a personality
Also,
difference.
some people have trouble being vulnerable with their emotions in general. So probably say the average person wouldn't. Their first thought would be to, let me put all my dirty laundry. Let me air it out.
We throw it on YouTube for everybody to see.
That's not, I think, people's
But I think that, so this is kind of an obstacle that I jumped very early on when you start doing it in your music, right? You kind of know this, is you're kind of writing a little bit of music now.
My diss tracks.
Diss tracks. Let me specify. Malika's diss track. But you kind of started to get to this point where you find therapy in pouring yourself out, the deep crevices of your soul, right? And you're pouring it into music because it's this outlet. And then all of a sudden, when people start to latch on to that because you're talking about deep things that most people don't, you realize that there's so many people out there who are feeling the same way but don't have any way to connect with somebody to let them know that they're not alone, that they're just not weird. And so when you kind of start doing it through music, you know, it's a way its own form of therapy. So yeah, I'd say, go back to your original question, I'd say anger, which has been an awesome, I mean, God's put me through so much over the past couple of years with dealing with anger and forgiveness and things like that. And then I'd say, lust, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with lust, not in a sexual sense, but I think also just in the things that you want, right? Things that you want that takes a hold on your desires and keeps you from making the decisions that you know will benefit you because you're so wrapped up in, you know, that desire at the moment.
Yeah.
Good question.
Bates said live streaming therapy sure is an origin idea.
It is an origin idea. Live from the couch. That'll be next week.
Let's see, what is your greatest fear? Your greatest all-time, top of the line fear?
I don't even know this, I don't think.
Being mediocre.
That's a good one.
Not doing enough with the time that I have. I think so I think for a lot of people would say, okay, death or something, you know, pain or something like that, right? I think being young, I go back to Congo, right? When I'm 12 years old, almost drowning in Lake Kivu, where you're facing death. You go through some of you guys know the story in Congo with my family and I, and the soldiers facing death. So there was so much of my childhood where I was around so much death and had to face it that you kind of just take it as natural in a bit. You just kind of know it is what it is, and you know what comes after comes after. But I think when you get to this point where you really get a grasp on your own mortality, how quick life is, and just the idea of death, it leaves you with only one thing to think about, which is, okay, what are you going to do with the time that you have? And I think that's what scares me, because I know that time is short. I know that death is absolutely certain. And I know that I have a habit of being a procrastinator. I have a habit of being swept away in my desires and all these things that can kind of jumble up the time that I have here, making it productive. And then also kind of understanding, okay, what is genuinely productive? Is just being successful, is that productive? Is you know, doing good at your job or being a good father, is it productive? Or is productive trying to take your life and your experiences and put them out to where other people can grow from them and out, so that your experiences and the lessons you've learned outlive you yourself? So
can I slightly disagree?
Go ahead, hit me.
I think that like something that I struggle with, and I think a lot of people struggle with, is that like, I could be completely off here, but I feel like in the past like 100 years, like people's lives in general, especially in like Western society, has gotten really easy. We're really like we don't struggle like we used to. Like, of course there's financial struggles and stuff like that, but it's not like survival anymore.
Yeah.
So I think our lives like that, I think that's one reason depression is so high, is because people feel that they're looking for a purpose. Like, what's my purpose in this life? And it's often put into like what job you do or what career you do. And I do think it is important to like help others and feel inspired by those things. But I also think sometimes we forget that like life is a gift from God. It's not like your gift of life is just to experience it. Like, I feel like it is like, yes, you want to accomplish things, and that's where I kind of feel like in a catch-22, because I'm like, well, sometimes I just want to live on a farm and enjoy life, and other times I'm like, I want to do this great thing, you know. But I feel like it's kind of a mix between the two. Like, you want to find things that you feel productive in, but that allows you to enjoy experiencing your life. Like, to me, like, I don't think if I got really far in a corporate job, I would feel that like, yeah, maybe on paper I was successful, but I don't think I'd feel any way successful in my actual life, because it's like, did I really enjoy like the gift of life that God gave me day to day, you know?
Yeah, I think that goes with saying that it depends on what you choose to seek in your life, what you take to like what gives you the satisfaction of feeling like you were everything but mediocre, like
and
that, and that's different for everyone.
Yeah, it's based on the individual, and it really is just what makes you tick. And I think that's probably what, at least on my end, because I agree. There's so many days I want to go buy a farm. If any of you guys got a farm for sale and you want to trade a house in Florida with a pool for a horse farm.
Because imagine like you had like children running around on a farm, and you like had your plants, and you had maybe horses or something, and every day was like, because it's kind of hard in today's society not to live for the future of like financially or like just like career wise, like, but if you were just literally had a farm and you just grew your plants and you lived there and you could paint and you could make music there, like you really lived every day like their time didn't even exist, because you were just doing what you wanted to do.
So as we're peeling back like the layers of this onion called Malika right now, I think we're discovering kind of the direction that you want to go in life.
I want to fall. I literally want to
not be a merch girl
and just be on a farm.
Okay,
that's a good one.
All right,
I like it. You're getting deep. Challenge me. Hit me hard. Challenge me with some good stuff. That's a good one.
Okay.
I like that.
With what you know now, how would you have parented Amelia, Malika, and I differently?
I could say a few.
I would have got you out of a place where shootings weren't a couple nightly occurrence, where we'd have to put you in a closet with bulletproof vests.
Yeah, or mattresses.
No, I disagree.
Yeah, I would disagree.
Because I think that those experiences, it's funny because on tour, you know, when we had a couple of those situations where things got a little volatile, Malika's just kind of perked up. She was just like, oh, this feels like growing up in Georgia again.
Well, it's because it's like, what are you going to do? Like, if there's actually something bad happening, what am I to do? You kind of just have to roll with it.
That's what I always say. Your time's already written. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not up to you.
What would I have done? That's a really good question. What would I have done differently parenting? There's a lot of things. And we can go as deep as you want, but I don't want to go too deep.
Too off topic. Maybe say the one thing that you really like.
I don't want to go too deep, and I just don't want to, get too emotional.
We got to
save some for another time.
We can't just give them.
There's a lot of things I would do differently when it comes to parenting you guys. I think on a very surface level, I think you guys had a really cool childhood in that I was a maintenance guy, which was a stupid job, and I hated doing it, but I was with you all the time. Like I never left I was always within the property of our home. So I would see you guys on lunch breaks. You'd see me riding around on a golf cart. So I got to see you a lot. I felt like we got a lot of good time together. I think that I would have probably, God, that's a good question. I think in the long run, the years that I lost with you, I would have tried to have made different decisions that would have enabled me to be there and not lost those years. In the end, you kind of everything comes full circle, and you say, okay, all things work together for good, right? And I'm so thankful with what we have now, and just in the relationship we had, which really started with tour. Really kind of opened.
I did. That was a big thing for me, actually. I really enjoyed that time with you, because I feel like before tour, like I hadn't had like a good, like I was on tour for like probably like a month, and that was like the first time in a while that I'd been like 24/7 with you. You know? It had its struggles.
For years. She's like, I gotta eat. You people don't eat around here.
They didn't.
That was fun though.
It's just fireball and eggs.
And she would every night, Malika would go. So it's like I kind of resorted back to just like this is my little baby girl. So every night she's Sean's bunkmate. So I come in there and she'd have her curtain closed. I'd peel back her curtain. and I give her a little kiss on the cheek and tuck her in, and then
He'd
about
be
3
like,
a.m.
You want some whiskey?
You want some whiskey with me? That's what I drink
My
whiskey.
favorite thing about Tor was your sock drawer, because you had a full drawer of black long socks.
Yes.
And I always feel like I'm missing socks, and I just love wearing socks. So I always knew
Now
that if
I know where
couldn't
the rest
find
of
a
my
clean
socks
pair,
went.
I still have a few.
I bet you
I do,
do.
because they're really comfortable. They're like
I'm
a
at
really
least
thick
30
sock.
pairs short. I'm sure.
Yeah, but I feel like you're always restocking. So it's so
I
fun.
have to, because people keep stealing my socks.
But you actually are smart with it. This is really like kind of a stupid thing, but because you only buy the same sock, I feel like, so it's
Yeah.
not like mismatched socks. That like even if it's not like
Even
they'll
if you
always
lose
match.
one,
yeah,
you
like,
always
'cause they're
have
the same
them, yeah.
sock.
Well, too, I learned from the Moonshine Bandits, the black socks, they do better. Something about the fabric on it, it holds up better for tour. So.
You know something that's really
that's
stuck with
true.
me my whole life that you've said?
Hmm.
Because you used to always wear, well, you still, like, you would wear socks all the time, and you'd be like, your feet are so soft. Not to be weird. And
Yeah, let's get really weird. Let's take it all the way.
That really resonated with me, and to this day, I don't wear flip-flops, and I only wear tennis shoes. I only wear flip-flops to the beach because I don't know.
So do you have soft feet? Is that what?
Well,
Is that what this?
Let's leave a little mystery.
Jeez, bro. Jeez.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, man. I think there's a lot of things I'd have probably done differently.
Just like any
you can
person.
always love more. You can always be there more. But I think that all of those things, when you are in a place where you kind of recognize it, you realize that you're able to say, okay, well, what do you do with the time that you have today? And I think that we're on an awesome track. And I kind of I think sometimes it takes a little bit of regret in a moment to kind of wake you up, shake you and wake you up and say, okay, you still got years ahead of you. Don't create more instances of regret in your life that's going to rob you of the people that you love the most. And so in the end, I think sometimes I hate to say it, thankful, but you're thankful for the trying times because you realize what they bring out of you. And sometimes it takes those trying times to wake you up enough to really love harder in the moment.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
a
I
good
like that
answer.
answer. Good answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's see.
She got a whole little script over there.
What is one question you can't wait to ask God? And don't say what came first, the chicken or the egg.
I would not have come to
I
mind.
know.
These are actually really good questions. Why did you let me hurt so much? Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you see the kind of the purpose of it, right? Full circle, but like, why did you let the war that was within me rage in such a difficult sense? And where were you in the moments where I felt like I needed you most and you weren't there? Knowing still that you were, and that obviously he's behind the scenes, he's doing things that you don't understand. The loss of people we love, especially like, okay, a couple weeks ago, we had the loss of this little girl, Adeline, which was just this tragic thing. This little girl was going to the school bus, and things like that. It's just like, God, why? It's hard when life hits to that degree and things are so tragic, right? To kind of see the point in it. So I think that would probably be something that I would ask.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
Can
I
I read the
agree.
next one?
Yeah.
Okay. What unhealthy coping mechanism has been keeping you stuck in the past? Is that the question?
Amelia wrote that one, so.
Let's see what she has to say.
What unhealthy coping mechanism has kept me stuck in the past? These are pretty good questions.
That's a really good
Sessa.
question.
Where'd you look this up? Like online? Did you think of these questions?
Well, yeah, we were all thinking them in the room, and Amelia was throwing some in there, and Malika was throwing some in there.
What unhealthy coping mechanism has made me, say it one more time.
What unhealthy coping mechanisms have been keeping you essentially stuck in the past
Like, have been preventing you from growing.
that you still haven't had a
Coping
chance to let go?
Or
yeah.
you don't have any.
Well, I think we all have coping mechanisms,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
God, that's a good question. So in the sense of a coping mechanism, we're thinking of something that you're doing in your life to kind of just get through.
Yeah. Like scrolling on your phone all
something.
day or something like that,
Or like,
that's actually, that's a pretty good one. Yes.
Yeah.
That's actually
Really?
a really
You're a
good one.
scroller?
I hate to be. I feel like that's one of the things I've actually kind of felt convicted about lately, because it's like I do have a tendency to get up and just I'm I work hard, but I'm lazy by nature. I think I have just a way of just kind of sitting around and doing nothing if given the choice, right?
Yeah.
So I get up. I'm not in any rush, and I think I do that. And I think I probably sit there and scroll through stupid stuff. But I don't know if that would be considered coping or if it's just habits.
I think so, because it's like sometimes if you have a lot on your mind, I do that too. That I'll just like go on. I hate TikTok, but I'll scroll on TikTok so I don't form a thought.
But I think it's sometimes too working as procrastination in a sense. Like you don't want to do something, so
But a coping mechanism versus something that's keeping you in the past, though.
So it's like something like music would be a coping mechanism for you, or or for some people it would be shutting down immediately. Like I think maybe I don't want to answer for you, but maybe yours would be what we were talking about the other day when you were saying that you tend to recluse away from people and situations instead of...
Dive deeper into that. Dissect that for me.
Well, when we were talking about how you were saying in situations and how you've noticed lately that instead of maybe you diving into situations and people's thoughts, if it's something maybe negative, I guess would say, maybe with a relationship or something, maybe if you're in a tough situation.
So we were talking about that I have a tendency to kind of recluse, right? Because of, relationships that you've had with friends or with people or that where you've been betrayed or you've been kind of, hurt. I do that a lot. I definitely do that. I do have a tendency to kind of pull away and be reclusive.
Which is a lot of people do.
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of people's.
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good take on that, because that would be a coping mechanism. You're kind of allowing yourself to recluse from situations, especially friendships, and especially that's actually a great answer, especially future friendships. So sometimes the hurt of the past, things that you've been through, relationships that were terrible and rocky and traumatic and just felt like they kind of wasted your time and they stripped you and they left you with nothing. It can put you in this place where you don't really allow yourself to move forward with new relationships. And I think that actually could be one, because I do have a tendency to be reclusive. Got somebody else here? Is that Amelia? Oh, we're gonna have Amelia was watching online. She's like, I'm coming as soon as I get off work. What's up, baby girl? You might want to. We got food.
Oh, really? What is it? Fries?
You might want to.
Truffle fries? Yeah.
You might want to hide your
shirt.
Hide your shirt so that everybody don't know where you're working. Yeah. Oh man, I think that's a good one. That's a good one.
Now or no, not yet.
Maybe wait.
That's a good one. Yeah, let's wait. Let's do it later, or we'll do it in VIP live stream. If you guys are just joining us, we are live on CruceTalk, very first podcast we've ever done, especially with my girls, and we are asking tough questions. We're live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, and we are live on Convos, which is our social media platform at crucifixmusic.com. If you guys want to sign up an account, it's cool, man. You can go in there, you can create like a social media account, and it's free. If you guys would like to become VIP members, you can do that as well. After this cuts off, we'll go to a VIP live stream, and that's where we really just get deep, because we don't have to worry about algorithms or anything like that. We can ask some really, really tough questions and dive deep. So,
okay, I have a question, but it's not that deep. I'm just actually curious. Would you rather never be able to go on tour again or never put out another album?
Never go on tour again.
Really?
Yeah.
That was quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love tour. So touring, especially over this past year, it was such a great experience. And I think you can break that experience down in a couple different ways. For me, being able to, that nomad spirit, so traveling a lot, there's that. There's this excitement that comes on the road that you don't get when you're just sitting at home. And I think that you can probably relate to this as well. You sit in your little bubble, and it's so easy to just kind of create habits that are unhealthy, to allow the mindset that would eat you up to rule you, just because you don't break out of it. And then because you're just kind of in this one situation, you just don't, you're not getting anything new. And I'm bad with that. So being on tour, it kind of shakes my life up, and I find that I can be a better version of myself. I work harder. I just have a little bit more control over myself and over things. I think on that last tour, having you guys, having Sean, and having Dad, and then Scotty, in Maui, it was such an awesome experience. What it did in my relationship with Dad, So, I mean, there were so many good things. And then I think ultimately, one, I love performing. I love the energy of getting up and doing something. The older you get, the harder it gets because you want to give so much of yourself and your energy level just isn't the same as what it was years ago. But I think I genuinely enjoy the connection with people, with you guys that come out, right? Connecting at shows, connecting on the bus hangouts, and before shows at restaurants when, just people walk in and just see you randomly.
That's true.
I must say that even there's been moments where you're in there dropping a deuce and a little hand comes up underneath the stall and says, "Can you just sign this real quick?" It's a little weird, but it makes for a good story. So I think in the end you kind of enjoy that.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think at the end, to answer your question, all those things are awesome, but the heart of it is really music for me. And I'd hate to lose. I'd be scared to lose that.
Yeah.
I'd be afraid that where it would leave me mentally.
From my 1 month of tour, which I know I can't say much,
Hit
it's
me.
really complex in my opinion because it's like in one way you can't like think. Like you literally wake up, try to find a shower, try to find food, and then you're working, and then you just your head hits the pillow and you're out. So it's like I feel like you're riding such a high, but at the same time when I was on tour, I literally fantasized about having a shower next to my bed, like my bedroom, like having that.
You did have a shower next to
Yeah,
your
but
bed.
let's be
Filled
real.
with boxes.
It wasn't a good one though.
Yeah.
Filled with boxes.
Filled with
Yeah.
boxes.
Like I just yearned so much for my room and like
Sean Paul's
a
boots.
queen bed and like my shower
Yeah.
next to it. So I feel like it's like there's good of course.
Well, that's a down the road thing. That's when you get a bigger bus, and you get a better
Exactly.
shower with
Yeah.
a washing
Yeah.
machine and that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
if there was a good shower on that bus and I had a decent sized
You
bed,
could live like that.
I could have I
could
could
live
have
like that.
I could have
Yeah.
kept going for a while.
But you're right though, because you hit this rhythm of just going so hard. I don't think people really know how hard touring is. Like that's tough.
You're just really tired, like, and it's
Yeah.
also really socially tiring because, of course, you love hearing, like, talking to people and stuff, but, like, you're talking, I feel like you're so interested in everybody you talk to, so it's like by the time your head hits the pillow, you're like,
Boom.
Yeah.
I'm out. That's how I felt when I was bartending.
Social batteries.
Until it's whiskey 30 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's your me time. That and the lows.
Planet Fitness and a glass
Planet
of whiskey.
Fitness. Oh yeah, Planet Fitness did help us out a lot.
Oh, the last time.
Ugh.
Let me just sidebar real quick. Where was it? Idaho?
I don't know.
Planet Fitness.
I don't
in Boise,
remember.
Idaho.
Okay.
I hope that what you're about to say is not what I think you're about to say.
You
Please say it.
Yeah, you were there.
Please say it. I gotta know
Just
now.
say it.
I gotta know.
The girls and I are going to go take a shower.
Not only was I there, I was a victim.
Malika walks into a bathroom stall and there is shit splattered all over the floor, the wall,
No,
the
but can I tell
toilet.
from my perspective because it was in my stall.
And we didn't have shoes on, did we?
No,
What?
I had flip flops, and I
Yes.
go, what is that smell? Like, I know I'm in a bathroom, but this smells like it's like under my nose. Like, it was so bad. And I looked down and I stepped in it on my flip flop.
Oh my
I had
gosh.
to throw away my shower
Yeah,
flip flops.
that's what it was.
One pair they were pink ones.
That was bad. That was an awful
Yeah,
kind of
that
fitness.
was when I was.
Yes.
And then also in the Planet Fitnesses, sometimes the shower would be clogged, so it would fill with water, but you just feel grimy because it's like the water's not draining and you're in a puddle of like
Ew.
public shower.
How do you
All right,
drop
can we
deuces
change
on
this real
Planet
quick?
Fitness?
Like, it is the
Planet
least.
How do you
Fitness.
drop deuces on Planet Fitness floors? That
Oh,
sounds
you'd
like.
be surprised.
How does that
Places
happen?
that
Like,
people-
They couldn't make it.
Oh, they just ran and just ran out of
They
time.
couldn't
At least
make
they
it.
got it in the stall. It was feral. It was
Yeah, it
actually
was.
feral. I think it's the least glamorous thing you would imagine. Like maybe
Yeah.
if you were like Miley Cyrus touring or something, but like
Jeez.
I think it's more fun though. It's kind of part of the adventure, if you will.
It is like kind of, I don't know, also pushing yourself to this place where you're so outside your comforts
Yeah.
that being uncomfortable becomes comfortable.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
what
And it's
happens,
fun.
you come home and you go into this deep depression because you were just in this exciting thing where you're seeing so much and
Yeah.
you're meeting people and you
Yeah.
have all these interactions, your dopamine level is just through the roof, and then all of a sudden,
And then you're still.
four walls,
Yeah.
silence.
Yeah. True that.
Even like the
Alright.
bus, like just driving when you're sleeping, you look out your window and you're in a new place.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I was there, I can't remember where we were driving through, but I like woken up from my nap or I don't know in the morning, and I just peeked out the window, and I had never seen terrain like that before. It looked like we were on Mars. Like
Where were we? We were
I
driving
want
through
to
Utah?
maybe through Moab or something. Did we go through Moab?
We drove kind of around but yeah, through there.
It was really
It was like
beautiful.
red
I was just
rocks?
like, what? Yeah. It literally looked like Mars. And it looked so desolate. And I was like, I almost was like, am I dreaming? Is this real? Like, I questioned my reality for a second because I've never seen that in America. Like,
Yeah.
it made
You
me
forget
realize.
the beautiful spots that America has.
Yeah.
Like we
For
have
sure.
we've got some cool places for sure.
That's on my list of things to do with you guys is take y'all there. That's like my
Go to
upcoming
Moab.
list.
Have you been to
To
the
do-
Grand Canyon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might go see the Grand Canyon if I visit my friend.
should.
Yeah, I really want to. Actually.
Because it's not far from where's she in Phoenix?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. She's like 3 hours from it.
Yeah, but she's a couple hours. But the cool thing is a couple hours from the Grand Canyon, a couple hours from Monument, where we just filmed the Love What Kills You video, a couple hours from Zion National Park's beautiful, and then you're a little further from Moab. But all of that scenery is kind of the same. Well, not the same, but you know what I'm saying? It's got that same.
I wish we got to see more of it when we were on tour. That would have been cool.
Well, we just got to go back out and do it again.
Y'all hear that now?
Sure.
Got to go back out and do it again.
All right, this is more of a positive one. What is a trait about yourself that you're most proud of?
Trait, like a personality trait.
Character
like a
trait, a
characteristic.
personality trait, characteristic of yourself.
I don't know. Maybe being able to just kind of speak freely about things that you would otherwise be vulnerable about. Maybe.
That's true.
Because I feel like so many if I look at personality traits, right, you're gonna have how other people look at you, which for the most part is a painted version, especially on social media, right? So you have this image of how you present yourself to the world. I really have always worked to try to present that in a very honest light. So it's a little bit different. But at the same time, some of the things that scream in my head and in my heart aren't things that come screaming out of my mouth typically, right? So there's always kind of a battle that's raging inside. So I think that kind of being in this place where I would say, okay, well, maybe, pursuing God or faith or those things, while it may seem like maybe those are good traits, I realize that those are actually battles.
Yeah.
Right? That faith is a battle that you're having to hold on, in a world, especially where everything's falling apart at the seams and people don't understand and you're losing friends and you can't get off in your career because of it. So I think that a lot of what the world would perceive to be traits from the outside are battles within. And so that's kind of a tough question, because you realize that it's still a fight to achieve that trait.
Yeah.
Kindness, like, okay, maybe I could be a kind person, right? But it's a battle to achieve that trait,
Yeah.
right? Because days you just want to.
Well, I feel
rip
like
somebody's
if I
head
speak
off.
for you as someone who's observing, I feel like you do good with being honest and vulnerable, but with diplomacy. Like, I feel like it's a big thing, is often people like feel that they can just say whatever they want. Like, I could name a few diplomats and politicians who are like this, where I don't necessarily disagree with what they're saying. I just think you can still go with grace in how you say it
absolutely.
without bringing other people down or anything. You're still being honest, but you're just doing it in a diplomatic way.
I would say, well, also one of yours would be not judging people. I feel like
that's
you're
true.
very. I feel like that's an area you're really good at.
Well, I think too, when you've made so many mistakes in life, how can you, right? When you've kind of been through the ringer and you know what that path looks like, you look back at people who are in the ringer with, I think, a degree of empathy. Like, you genuinely feel for where they are because you've been there.
Yeah.
I think people who are typically judgmental usually are people who haven't really been through that much. So let's use, like, in a religious context, say like in a church, right? The people who are most judgmental in church are the ones who have lived the majority of their life in a bubble. So their understanding of faith and God and the struggle to be pure is kind of in a basis where they've not really experienced a lot.
They haven't
not all
been
the time.
exposed to a lot of the
They haven't
battles,
been exposed to a lot of, like, terrible things, right? When you get exposed to terrible sexual situations or to terrible violent situations, or you grow up with nothing, some of those type of things, it's easier to look back at people who are going through it and have empathy for them, right? So.
Well, I think that's still a good trait, because I feel like oftentimes people who, I was saying this to you earlier, like, they'll get through something and then it's easy for them to be like, well, I'm past that, so I couldn't understand why anybody else would be struggling with that.
Yeah.
Like, to feel that, like, they're above it then, now that they've gotten past it, but everybody's on their own time. Like, I don't know. I feel like you are good with that.
I do think people do that. I think there's a lot of people, obviously, that kind of have that that arrogance about what they've overcome. But it comes back to pride comes before the fall, right? Excuse me.
Bless you. Bless you.
It's easy once you overcome something to feel like, okay, I'll never slip back there, but that's usually right before you do.
Or be like, how could someone else be struggling with this? Because I've overcome it, so can they. It's like,
Yeah.
well, they just haven't overcome it
You
yet.
just haven't been hit hard enough yet.
Yeah.
Just ask for something that you didn't want.
Yeah.
That's funny.
What else you got, Sess? What you got in there?
Let's see.
Wait, can I actually read a question from the chat?
Yeah, let's hit us a question from the chat. Are we on? Is
From-
this Facebook chat or is this the?
This is YouTube chat.
Okay.
From
YouTube chat.
Bullet481. When you went through the rough part in your life, how hard was it for you to turn away from that life back to God?
I think it was the most natural thing to do because now my experience was growing up in a faith-based home, and you're the child of a missionary. That kind of gives you let's say like a base in your home of faith. But a base in your home of faith is only tradition until your world is rocked. When your world is rocked, faith either becomes the thing that you hold on to and you genuinely see the hand of God in very difficult situations.
Or you flee from it.
Or you run the other way. Mm-hmm. And so for me, what was childhood Sunday school type faith became real in Africa because of the situations that we went through there. So I think that when you've been in a super traumatic or like devastating type moment and you are powerless to overcome the situation or to get yourself out of the situation, and your faith saw you through in a way that was so supernatural that you can't explain, then it becomes easy to lean on that moving forward. So I think for me, like, I never lost the understanding that God was with me, that God loved me, that God was walking with me, that he wanted more for me. But sometimes you live life, right? You're running out, you're just doing stupid stuff. Mm-hmm. You're getting wrapped up in your emotions and in your desires. You're making stupid decisions. And most decisions that are wrapped up in desire only lead to more and more desire, which kind of entangles you moving forward. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you have to get so entangled up in your desire to the point where you fall flat on your face, and then you have to realize, okay, God got me through this before. So I don't think it was very hard. The problem is it's just getting to that point where you're just done with sin. I think that's the hard part, because so many of us were just like, no, I still want to do this. I want to get out. I want to party. I want to live. I want to,
And it's like a sense of shame. Like when you start to sin, you're almost like, instead of face that you're sinning, you just continue to make excuses and like say, well, it's easier for me to just keep doing this. It's not that bad. Yes. And even though you know it's wrong, you just keep doing it because it's better. It's easier to do that than to be like, well, I know I'm wrong. Like, I don't know, like actually admit to yourself that what you're doing is bad, or like, and then that also, I feel like, at least in my life, that's caused me to turn away from God. And sometimes, because like I'm obviously ashamed of like some things I've done, and so then I'm like, oh well, then like I can't ask God for help because I know what I'm doing is wrong, Yeah. And I think it does get to the point where it kind of snowballs, and then you're like,
well, what a beautiful picture of a terrible lie, because that is, I mean, that exactly what you're saying is what goes on in our head, is like, I've screwed up and I've disappointed God. But here's the thing: is
it's just like what Craig was talking about.
It's like
Sunday.
What Craig was talking about
cycle,
on Sunday about porn,
cycle,
the cycle of pornography, right? Mm-hmm. Where you get to this point where you're triggered into some type of desire. You give into that desire, and then essentially the shame comes afterward. Mm-hmm. I experience this a lot in everything that happened in our life, right? Mm-hmm. It's easy to think going into sin that it's not going to be that bad. The devil's really good at making you believe that what you're about to step into is not going to do that much damage, and then as soon as you get and you touch your toes to the water, and he wreaks havoc in your life, and then he maximizes the devastation and the shame of your actions, which usually leads to what you're talking about. Just kind of, you give up. You feel defeated. You're like, I feel like I can't. I've made so many mistakes I can't overcome. But here's an interesting thought that kind of hit me, is like, to feel that God could be disappointed in me, I have to also assume that he could be impressed by me. Mm-hmm. So is there any point in my life where I, as this finite being, could impress the creator of the universe? Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I don't think that there's going to be a point where I can say, God, look what I did, man. But
it's relative. I feel like God knows that you're obviously a human. You're not like a supernatural being.
I think he can acknowledge.
Like even I felt like the feeling of like God's hand on my back the other day, feeling that like, even though like I've been struggling, that at least God sees what I'm going through. Like it's like in a sense, like he's proud of like that you keep fighting and stuff like that. Like it might not be like, wow, I'm impressed, like you did this amazing thing, but it's like, for me, like, like good job, like you keep going.
Where does him being impressed, where does that come from? Does it come from you are just this entity that has no relationship with him and he's impressed by something cool you did?
Yeah, no.
Or is it in the relationship that he has with you? Mm-hmm. Right? I think that's the difference, is like me separate from God, I can't impress him. But it's kind of like a kid with their father. If Cameron comes in, right, knowing, okay, he's 7 years old, 8 years old, right? And he draws this picture, and I'm so impressed by this picture. That's that impression and that the joy, what I see in him is based on my relationship with him. And I feel like it's kind of like that with God. I can't on my own, I'm not going to just deny God my entire life, close my eyes on the day of death, wake up, and then do backflips and impress the creator of the universe.
But I think if you replace impress and fill it with proud, like with
proud.
God being proud
Yes,
and
he's
grateful
Exactly.
that you have taken a step back, if you're on that path and you've taken a step back to realize that you need him and you need to go out of your way to find him, I think he would be proud because he created us. So he is the creator. There is a sense of he created all this, and on the seventh day he was proud, so he took a rest.
He took a rest.
Like, I think he could be proud. I don't think it's about impression.
Or it's like if Cameron comes in with a drawing and you see it, and it's like if you were to draw that drawing, you probably wouldn't have been too impressed with yourself. But for him, as your kid and someone who's a lot younger, you see the beauty in that drawing, even because it's relative to him. It's not just you wouldn't be impressed if that were you. I feel like that's how it's
and it may not be that the drawing itself impresses me, but it's the progress that you see in the person that you love, right? So you see this child that you love making this incredible progress forward, and that's what really makes you proud. And I feel like that's kind of how it is in our relationship with God. I feel like, okay, I can't necessarily impress God in and of my own self, but as my Father, he does. I think that he is proud of me in that loving sense of that we have a relationship, right? And this is just another kind of random thought to attach to that. Something that I've kind of discovered in myself that I don't like, especially in being a parent, is the moments that I feel disappointment. Like, I realize if I said this the other day, one of my kids was acting up, and I'm so disappointed. And as a kid, that was the most crushing thing. Have your dad mad, that was cool.
Yeah. I'm not
but
mad,
why
I'm just disappointed.
I'm disappointed. Like, what is it about being disappointed that's so
shameful,
it's so crushing, right?
Because anger is like almost momentary. People you often feel
it passes.
Things, it passes.
Yeah.
Whereas disappointment, it's kind of like, really? Like, I'd rather someone be angry with me than look at me and be like, wow, really?
Because you feel hurt.
Disappointing.
Yeah,
it feels more like it's targeted towards your character rather than your actions. Like,
So I tend to lean like, okay, if as a father, most of the attributes that we hold as fathers, I believe are God-given. I believe that most of our understanding on how to be a father comes from God our Father, right? So there's so many emotions and there's so many unconditional love and just so many different aspects to being a father that we gain from our relationship with God. And so when I come up against the idea of being disappointed, I don't feel good about it. I don't like it. There's something that feels unnatural and it doesn't feel right, right? When I'm disappointed. Now, we all get mad at our kids because nobody's perfect. We say, okay, God, I'm sure gets angry with me all the time. But the word disappointment and the word impressed, those are two things that I wonder, I don't know, but I wonder if God feels toward me. He might feel anger at my sin, right? And his desire is to see my progress. He wants to see that progress in me. And so he's obviously going to be angry at the sin and angry with me who's stopping my progress with that sin. But I struggle with the idea of disappointment and impressed, him being impressed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I think that's good though.
I would agree.
Interesting thought.
Should we
We got.
go to
That was a good question.
VIP?
How long have we been on?
We've been on for 40 something minutes.
Let's run a full hour on here and then we'll jump. How many more questions you got?
No, I mean we've got.
And you guys feel free in the chat to hit us with if you got any good questions. So tough questions, tough answers. We want to dive into the stuff that might not typically get asked, that's never usually asked of me, and just be real, be raw. So what else you got, Sessa? What you got in the phone of yours?
A few questions popped up in the chat. Do you want to read one from there or do you want to read from the chat?
Let me see if I've got one in here.
Maybe mark down a couple from the chat that you really like, screenshot them, and then let's hit a couple more so we get like maybe 2 or 3 from the chat. Definitely want to answer you guys' questions in the chat.
Okay, here's one. What have you noticed now as an adult who has struggled with depression? What do you notice now tends to be a trigger for you to fall into that state?
I think with depression, what I've kind of found dealing with depression, and for me, a manic depression, right, bipolar. So over the years, what I've found is that there's certain things that I can do to kind of better my chances of falling into depression. So the way that I eat. One thing that I've been doing since we came to Florida is I go out and I try to get a little sun in the morning. Just a little bit of sun does something for me. Trying to eat a little bit better, trying to drink more water, things like that. There's so many toxins, there's so much crap in the stuff that we consume, the stuff that we put in and on our bodies. I think that sometimes when you're dealing with something like depression or anxiety or any of these things, it can amplify that. So for me, I find that if I'm a little bit more cognitive of what I'm consuming and trying to allow myself to maybe consume more nature, the things that God created, like, be a little bit more in the sun, be in nature, be grounded, take your shoes off, walk in the grass, right?
Vanessa always does say that to me whenever
I think it's a good like, what's the word you would look like? It's like you're kind of.
I think it's a good way to center yourself.
Yes.
For me,
it's a preventative
personally.
almost. It's a preventative, but it's not necessarily going to prevent it completely, right? But then you also find that there's some things that make it worse, right? So if I'm sitting around, I'm watching too much TV, if I'm scrolling too long on my phone, just things like that. There's some things in your life that just kind of make it worse. So once you kind of start to identify the things that make it worse and things that actually make it better, you try to make a little bit of changes towards the better. Now, you and I were talking about this earlier. Finding an outlet is a huge thing. That's how music kind of came about for me, was trying to find an outlet where you can take, because Malika and I were talking before we got on the podcast about this. It's so easy to feel like, because you're going through depression and you're whether it's anxiety or whatnot, it's so easy to think that these are negative traits about who you are. But I've kind of come to see over the years that depression, in a sense, it's almost like a superpower. Like, if you ask me if I could pray right now and have God take away depression in my life, would I ask him to do it? I don't think I would, because it's given me such a different perspective on things that allows me to write the music that I do. And in that, I find so much joy. I don't know if I would find that same joy not being depressed, living a very normal life. I don't know.
But I also think your answer would be different if you didn't have music as an outlet.
Yeah.
Because if I asked God, I would 100% say, yes, please take away my depression.
Yeah.
But I don't.
So
really
my prayer for you is finding an outlet.
Yeah.
Finding an awesome outlet that you can start to pour it into, because it's an emotion that a lot of people. I've had people ask me before, they're just like, I just don't understand it. I don't understand how anybody would want to kill themselves. I don't understand how, it just doesn't make sense. And for people who've never experienced that or felt that way, you cannot fathom the angst and the anguish that a person is going through when they're in that deep place. And all you can think about, you don't see faces, you don't see names, you just see, I got to get out of this, and so,
but it's hard because you can't put it really into words. It's a hard thing to describe. So
it
it's like people say that, even with anxiety as well, people be like, I don't understand anxiety. Just like, don't be anxious. And I'm like, boy, oh boy, there'll be a time in your life where you deal with anxiety.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously hope not, but it's like, it's something that's so out of your control. Like, you just can't, obviously there's coping mechanisms and things you can do to prevent, but it's like, once it happens, that annoys me a lot when people are like, or my biggest pet peeve is when you just need to change your perspective. Like, oh, thank you, I feel a lot better. It's really not that easy.
It's not that easy.
Yeah, I know that it is like a part of it, trying to reframe how you think, but it runs so much deeper than that. Like, it's not just, oh, okay, you know what? I'm gonna.
But now, not really, because it's everybody is, like the generation of children and young adults, anxiety and depression is like at an all-time high. So now you have people who have been experiencing these things from a young age, and I think it's becoming way more common now. And but then I think people band together in that, and I think sometimes it could turn into like instead of band together to help each other, let's band together and suffer together. So because misery loves company, so it's like, I think that's a scary.
Which makes you wonder: is it that it's worse now? Is it that it wasn't talked about before, that it existed, that the anxiety and the depression was just as prevalent in the 1950s as it is in 2024? Or is it that we're just so overstimulated right now with technology and stuff around us?
I think it's both.
That's why I think it's both.
Because it's like, before you said you're depressed, you were offered a lobotomy. Now it's like you can find Zoloft online. I get Zoloft ads on my Instagram.
Yeah, it's different.
So it's like it's a bit different, Like, I feel like people were a bit more shamed.
The stresses of.
I'll take anything over a lobotomy.
Really?
Nobody wants a
secure
lobotomy.
line.
Nobody wants a
Needle through
lobotomy.
there.
Oh, just no. I'm good.
Isn't that crazy though? That was actually a thing.
wild.
Like who even thought that? Like
But
let's shove a needle
that has
through
to
your
show
brain.
that has to show that it wasn't something that was as common, or was it just that people were tougher? They were tougher and they dealt with their.
That's my thing.
Well, that's what I
I
said.
genuinely think that there is a sense of toughness that I think that our
Well,
America
I
has
think
lost.
it's like how I said earlier. Like 100 years ago, it was like, how do I feed my family? How do I provide for my family? Like, you know, I'm gonna raise my kids and stuff. It was so
Go to
centralized
war.
on that. Like you didn't have a choice but to survive and go
Yeah.
work for your family. Now it's kind of like
Everything
our lives
is a
are so
choice.
easy. Like we are like, especially in Western society, our lives are really easy. Like not to say we don't have our struggles, but I'm talking in terms of like actual survival. You have AC, you have a bed, you have a house. Like you can just go to. You don't have to go like forage and hunt. It's you go to Walmart or Target, you know. So it's like now you're, instead of having all these things that are occupying your time. That's why I want to live on a farm, because I feel like if I lived on a farm, I'd have like, you know.
What would your worries be?
Yeah, you're just focused
Getting
on
water from the
surviving, and
creek
now we
to
got,
your
like,
house.
Food, your
you don't have
water.
survival. You just sit there and you're like, okay, well, I don't have to get like scavenge for food or protect and provide for my family as much. It's like you let your thoughts manifest.
Well,
Like,
that's why I think anxiety too.
What's
is more-
up, Amelia? We got Amelia on the chat. So you just dug you up a shirt. I'm sure I got a small in there. You wanted to go straight up pajamas.
pajamas.
I like that.
No,
I
but
like
what I
what
was
you're
going
doing
to say
right
before I forget this is I think too anxiety has been not just anxiety, but back when in times where things were harder and you actually had to fight to survive, we have so much at our fingertips now that we've gotten lazy. And so I think that now it makes it even, people don't have to fight to survive anymore. They don't have to fight for their right. They don't have to do any of these things that all of our ancestors had to do, that almost put them in a completely different mindset of, they're in a constant state of work. We're now in a constant state of laziness, which then what do you do when you're lazy? You just sit and dwell on all the thoughts that enter your mind. Every feeling you feel is picked apart.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I don't think that that's a healthy.
And it's also
aspect.
social media. Like I look like I've had deleted TikTok, but I've re-downloaded it for like I've had it for like 2 days, and I literally had to like, I could not scroll on it because I'm scrolling and everything's like, oh, this is why you're depressed, or like this is like these horrible sad things, or this guy doesn't like you, and this, that you need to change this about yourself. Like it was just so much negativity on one app. I actually was like, I don't even know how I feel anymore, because I just was told in 1,000 different ways
How you
I
should
should
feel.
How you
yeah.
should feel.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
it's like, I just feel like that's also such a negative thing. And I also think that it's become almost a bit, maybe because it's more accepted, a bit trendier to have those things. Like it's like, it's also like, even in like the dating scene, like a whole bunch of like guys are always like, oh, I want someone who's depressed and like all this stuff, and it's like romanticized, which is horrible, because it's like, why would you want the person you like to be hurting? Like,
Yeah.
Why would you wish that
that's like a big
upon
thing.
them?
Like it's like, I've seen it a lot in my generation. Like
It's almost like a generation without a fight is a generation without hope.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Like I think that there is the today's generation is kind of a lost generation in the sense that they got so bubbled and padded, right? And early on, and then there's not really a fight for them to fight at the moment, but there will be. It's coming.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Drum roll.
All right, what we got?
Okay.
Oh, wait, this was a
We've been
question
on
from
here
Welcome
for an hour.
Amelia Chanel. Some of you guys might have met Amelia on tour. She was there for a little bit. She was rocking it. She was what was your job? You were the assistant extraordinaire.
Yeah, she helped me.
Yeah. That's what was your job. You were awesome, man. You rocked it with me. Like
I did. That was fun.
she was like, she kept me on top of things. I'm bad with keeping on top of things. You kept me on top of things. Yeah, it was good. It was good. What you got, Sesamo?
Sorry, I was reading comments. Okay. Let's see. What is the craziest thing you've ever done, and would you do it again?
Okay, so everything that we did as kids in Africa was crazy. It's just, I mean, jumping on a motorcycle and
Yeah.
riding through a herd of zebra, it sounds crazy, right? I'd say the craziest thing and that I've ever done was, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Ghost in the Darkness. Like, there's a movie with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas called The Ghost in the Darkness. It's a true story about two man-eating lions in this place called Savo in the Serengeti. And what they were doing in this movie is they were building a train. They were laying train tracks, or building this bridge and these tracks to kind of stretch over this place. And so there's this story about these man-eating lions. It's a great movie. Check it out on Netflix or wherever. So we were actually riding on those tracks on the train, And this was my senior year in high school. And I don't know if it was just like some James Bond 007 like video game type stuff that just
came over you.
Yeah, I don't know where.
Or just being a teenage boy.
Yeah, maybe it was a teenage boy. But at some point in my ride on the train, I was like, it would be really awesome if we got up and we crawled up on top of the train and ran up and down the train while it was moving.
I'm lucky I'm alive.
So you're lucky you were born. So we did. So we it got dark, which was the dumbest thing because now you can't see anything in front of you. So I crawl out the window and there's like this little lip and you're able to reach out and get your hands up on this lip, pull yourself up, and then kind of shimmy your body up to where your feet were in the window, and then you just had to kind of lay on the train and just kind of scoot yourself to the top. So I did it and I realized, okay, I can do this. Problem was getting back into the train. You had to lay on your stomach on the top of this train and you had to kind of let yourself slip off the side and then till your feet caught the edge down the side, and then you could pull yourself in. So I realized getting out of the train, first thing I have to do is I got to tie a sock on the air conditioning vent, because once I run up and down the train, I'll have no idea which room is mine.
Yeah.
So I got back in, got a sock, got a friend to come with me, and we crawled back out. We start going down this train, the middle of the night through the Serengeti, and there's lions and there's all kinds of, who knows what kind of animals out there. I mean, it's the Serengeti, right? And we're just running up and down. We're doing our thing. And then I think I see a tunnel. And that was the most panic I've ever felt in my life. To be on the top of a train in Savo where this movie was filmed, the story comes from, so you know it's man-eating lions and stuff out there.
I actually have seen things in movies like that, and that's one of my biggest fears.
Yeah,
Like
scary.
even in boats.
The tunnel or the lion?
No, the tunnel. Like what do you do? Like you just lay flat and hope you're. Like,
I don't know. So I thought, because you could see way ahead where the train was snaking, right? You could see the light. And I thought, my eyes aren't very good, so I thought I saw a tunnel. And I was like, we got to get in. So my friend goes to get in. He's like, I don't know how to get in. He was able to get into the window. And so I lay back down on the top and I start to slide off the side. My feet catch the lip. And then you have to, at that point, kind of shimmy down, get your hands where your feet are, and then put your feet into the window. As soon as I put my feet into the window, he grabs my ankles to pull me in, and I fall off the top of the train. So now I'm hanging off the side of this. I'm like hanging out. It was, so I'd say that's probably, the top crazy, or up there, the craziest things. But would I do it again? I don't know. What a great story. I survived it. I would, I survived. Yeah, if I didn't survive, then I wouldn't do it again.
Can you just imagine how bad that would be? Like, say, okay, you're running up and down, and your foot just catches.
Oh.
Like, there's just so many. I'm not going to name all the things that bad could happen, but there's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And they would be really morbid deaths.
Or one of those,
and nobody would know.
Those big, what are those train things that, the arm swings out?
Yeah, and literally, nobody would know.
Nobody would know.
Like, you would have disappeared off the face
no
of the
cell
earth,
phones,
and nobody would have known where to find you.
No anything. No huts. No anything. Civilization. You're just going through, wilderness.
Oh my gosh.
There's nobody to call.
That's crazy.
They would somebody would had to have known, okay, he just fell off and they'd had to stop the train. But then still, how do they find you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
so
scary.
that's it. That's in the top.
At least you can say you did it now.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if I would not do it again.
I don't think I have. I don't have anything like that crazy. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like I might need a story from Vanessa to kind of fill this out.
Vanessa, definitely. I feel like you have one.
You got one?
Like, what was the question again?
Just with the craziest thing you've done.
Thing I've ever done? I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
I can't think of anything, man.
Question
I need to live a more
time?
exciting life.
Yeah, what's the craziest thing?
I don't know.
Well, you still got time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could.
You know, one thing I did, it wasn't really that crazy, but I thought it was cool. When I was in Malaysia, there was the apartment building was probably it was like a skyscraper, honestly, and you could go up to the sky or the rooftop or whatever, and there was a wall and maybe a 3-foot ledge, and so I look over at Gabe or whatever, and I'm like, can I hop over? Would you care? I just wanted to be on the edge, and he was like, no, and I'm like, well, too bad. And so I hop over. So now there's literally just the ledge, and it drops off the skyscraper, and I have such a big fear of heights. I feel like I conquered my heights in this moment, and I just had my feet dangle off. It was really high, and then I turned around and I laid on my back and I hung my head off, and that was really cool because you saw the whole city from upside down. That was really scary, but
when we shot the overtime video. Mm-hmm. That was a little sketchy.
Oh, that?
Going up. That was some heights.
You didn't let me climb the ladder. I have a qualm
That was pretty sketchy.
Because actually, imagine you it detaches from the building.
I imagined you falling backwards over the side of this 100-year-old building. It's no more.
I'm
no more.
so afraid of heights. Heights scare the crap out of me. Ugh.
All right. Well, what else we got? we'll run for.
We've been on for an
We've
hour.
probably been on for an hour. Okay, so we could. So we'll do this. Let's hit 5 more questions. We'll do them kind of quick. We're gonna do 5 more questions, and then we're gonna jump to the VIP live stream. If you guys are interested in joining VIP, just go to crucifixvip.com. There's a lot of perks in there that you can see what they are, and I'm not gonna go into it. But if you guys are a VIP member, all you got to do is log in. And there should be a tab right there at the top of Convos that says VIP live stream. You click that, and we'll be able to conversate with you guys in the chat here. So,
I have a good question.
what you got up next?
It's not really that good or deep,
Okay,
but I'm curious.
okay, hit me.
What's your favorite song you've ever wrote?
That's
And then
hard.
I want us to say ours of his.
It's like choosing children.
I know. That's
And
why
I know
I'm
that
curious.
question's next. No, I can't. I couldn't. I don't think I could. That's like choosing children.
Okay,
Really?
pick one off of each album. Your favorite off of each album you've ever released.
Or just top 3.
My life's prayer would probably be Forgiven.
Okay.
Maybe. Cruce Signati would probably be.
So many good ones on that one.
Yeah, there was a lot of good ones. A lot of ones that you don't really get any shine. Probably maybe The Dreamer or Fly Away. Fly Away had kind of a very just a cool place in my life because so much was happening at that time. That was when things really started to grow for me, right? I'd say Acid Rain would be probably Sideways or Forever's Like Life, maybe.
Really?
Can I tell
Or
a
Heaven,
story about
maybe.
Sideways real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, hit them.
So long ago when Sideways was being recorded, like one thing about me, and I know my sisters probably relate, is we used to sing around my dad so that he would compliment us and say that he would put us on a song, even though we sounded awful, honestly. And so one time I got the golden offer, Malika, do you want to be on Sideways? And I was like, hell yeah, basically. I was so excited. Yeah. And so he gave me like these long lists of lyrics to remember. So I really studied them. I really like poured my heart into it. And so I do the recording or whatever. I hear the song and I literally get Sideways. Like that's all I'm in the song.
Because it was a good song. I couldn't like. You were young, and the outcome of what we had recorded just wasn't there where we needed
it's
it
like,
to
why
be.
dangle the carrot? Like,
but you were on it. And you got to think too. We took turns, right? So Vanessa was on the bus back. Terrible decision. What a great decision.
yeah, but look
Terrible.
at how many lines she got. She actually had words.
It's a great
to sing.
decision. And then Amelia was on Keep Smiling a little bit.
Yeah, keep smiling.
You were on Keep Smiling
This is
a
just
little
an
bit.
unfair comparison. They got multiple lines.
Well, then we're just gonna have to do a new song.
yeah, stay
Yeah.
tuned.
Okay, I feel
you
like
got?
my favorite on Acid Rain was Invisible. Or it
Really?
is Invisible because it just goes so hard.
It
It's so
does.
screamo.
It's so good.
And then what's the other one? Oh, Fall of Rome. Or is that what is it called?
Follow Rome.
Fall of Rome.
Follow Rome.
I love that song so much. Okay, anyway, and then
Are you doing-
after Acid Rain?
Are you doing per album?
No, go. Are those like your top favorite
No,
songs?
well now you have to say Desperado.
Oh yeah. Need more
That's
albums.
a tough one. Desperado. Dang, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of Desperado is obviously my favorite of all the albums. I don't know. Minefield. I don't know, man.
I love my.
Minefield is a favorite. Hold on. What's on
Yeah,
Desperado?
let
Let
look.
me say mine.
Okay, say yours. What's
While
yours?
we're
Are you saying all the
veering
albums?
off.
I don't even have my
course.
album on here. That's terrible.
Okay, so
It's
from
funny to see your Apple Music. What are you
from
listening to?
My Life's Prayer, guys, I would say right now it varies based on my mood.
True.
But right now it's Something I Know. That's been Amelia and I's
yeah?
one of our favorites, I think, for a little bit.
Minus the skip.
I listen, minus the skip. I always skip the skip. But yeah, I really like that song. And then from what's next? Cruce Signati. I'd probably say These Streets.
Yeah, that's a good
Is
one.
that
Wow!
one of my favorite?
Wow!
And then Acid Rain, I'd probably say Invisible.
huh?
But
Really?
also Seven Drinks
Drinks?
is a really fun
That's
one to
so
listen to.
good.
I do like that one. And then Desperado, I'd say Minefield and Desperado. Those are my top.
Okay,
those
wait,
are my
I want to say mine
favorites.
now.
Okay.
Okay, so My Life's Prayer, my favorite is probably.
I know what she's gonna say.
Maybe, okay, my two favorites on My Life's Prayer is The Devil's Advocate.
That's the best
that
one.
one, and then This Little Piggy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Cruce Signati is Animal. I've been
Really?
jamming to
That is
Animal.
such a
Really?
good one
That's
too.
a lot of good
Yeah,
ones.
Animal. And then what's the other one after that? Acid Rain.
Uh-huh.
Acid Rain, like, yeah.
Back to the Down to Die. How did I forget about that? That's one of my favorites.
And then Desperado. I love Desperado.
Mm-hmm.
Really, the song?
Yes.
Oh.
And then my second favorite would probably be, what's the one that, Dead Man Walking? I love that song.
There's so many good ones.
It is hard to choose because we go based on our mood.
Well, actually, mine is dead. Like, it's always been the same. For my favorite song of yours of all the time is Trust Nobody. I listen to it a lot.
That's a good one.
That's my favorite. And then that's probably my favorite on like my life's Twitter and all of them. And then I don't know, I like These Streets. Pain Pill's good.
Pain Pill's good. Pain Pill. Forgot about that one.
I need to listen to Cruce Signati more. I've been listening.
Yeah,
I've been in a My Life's Prayer rut. And then Acid Rain.
That's a rut. There's no other way to describe listening to that album than being in a rut.
And then also
rut.
Georgia Rain is one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
Those are my like top few.
That's a good one. What else you got? Hit me with another question.
Sorry.
Let's do 4 more, and then we'll go ahead and jump to the VR.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll ask
Before
one.
it's too late.
If you could talk to anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
David.
Wow, that's a really good answer.
That's a good answer. Would you dance with him?
Weird.
No, like David danced for.
Yeah.
He was dancing.
But if you remember that story, he danced all the way to the city. His clothes fell off. His wife saw that he was outside shaking his naked backside, got upset with him about it. So I just feel like the dancing thing is on this. Now, sit down and write a song with him. Absolutely.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That's true. I like that one. Okay. Let's see.
I feel like we can toughen up the questions. Let's go hard, dig deep. The last couple. Let's hit something that's really gonna.
Oh, that's pressure.
Is it?
Who's your favorite kid? Answer it.
Songs and children. You don't pick a favorite.
But you all have one. Is that true?
No.
I feel like you
genuinely
have a favorite for the day.
You have a.
favorite for the
You
day.
can maybe have a favorite for the day. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because sometimes some of your kids are assholes, and there's one that's just cool that day. But then too, like, it's like you have a different relationship with each kid, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's days where one might not be your favorite for that day because they're just acting out. Mm-hmm. But then there's this compassion that you have that kind of just, I don't know, it lets you meet them where they are. And then it just kind of changes. So I've never, like, we knew people that had favorite kids. It was just the weirdest thing to me. I couldn't fathom that because it was like the relationship with each of you is different. The relationship with each of my younger kids is different. It's like, but you love them where they are, and some things piss you off and some things you love, but that's with each kid.
But as a sibling, when the parent clearly has a favorite for the day, it is
It's
the
so obvious.
most annoying thing ever. Like Amelia and I will go
For
to
the
an
record, I
argument.
never did that. I don't think I ever did that.
No, but when you're the
Did I?
favorite
No,
kid,
you did.
I had a favorite of the day.
Because when you're not the favorite kid for the day and you see the favorite kid, then they start like kissing up and like
Yeah, they do.
and, like they like
Extra
it.
good.
Yeah, it's annoying.
No, I was gonna say that. I was like, it's a phenomenon. I feel like with kids, when they know they're the favorite of the day, they get extra like on a high horse, and they're like, "Yes, mother. Yes,
I would commit no wrong.
Teacher's pet
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, we did that.
Okay, here's a question from chat. What's one thing in your life you still want to accomplish? From Laura Ann.
Good question. So my dream has always been to win a Grammy and to
Wow, really? I didn't know
play a stadium. So I haven't done obviously either one of those things. I don't know if it ever will happen, but like one thing I would like to accomplish, I'd love to on the music side, I'd love to win a Grammy. I would love to, play a stadium at least once, and then maybe write a book.
Yeah,
That would be cool.
Write a book.
that. A lot of.
I can see you winning a Grammy.
Have a horse farm.
Oh.
For me.
Huh?
Okay, you got your next question.
This one?
There's another one in chat. Is it not working?
No, I was gonna.
No, you're good.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, this isn't like super deep, but what is your pet peeve about significant others that really just grinds your gears, and where do you think it stems from?
You're trying to get me divorced? Is that what's happening?
But I'm always curious because everybody has
Amanda said yes, please.
Oh, great.
She permits.
Yeah.
You could say a relational pet peeve.
The good thing about when you've had 2 marriages, no one knows who you're talking about. So
True.
It's an open-ended question. So you want me to be
ambiguous.
specific on something that's a pet peeve about a significant other?
Yeah.
Like that really even still now grinds your gears, like
And where
it
do you
drives
think
I'm
it's
you.
pleading the
from?
5th.
You're
You ain't walking me into this trap, homeboy.
He knows.
No.
No, he knows.
I think this. I think that We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. And maybe my pet peeve is when either of us in any relationship just decide to stop working on the things that upset the other person.
I like that.
Smooth answer.
Like that's
a safe answer. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Okay.
I hear
What's your heart?
Here she comes. She's like, that was a good answer, Boo.
Okay. Let's see.
That was a good question, though. That was a really good question.
Okay. Out of all of your kids, out of all 6, 6 kids, which one has been not extremely difficult to raise, but what would you say? Would you say that there's been one that has tested you as a parent more than the other?
Yes. I'll give it to you, but it wasn't.
You don't have to say the person.
No, I'm not gonna say the person's name. I'm not gonna call my kids out. But I would say it wasn't you guys.
Oh, really? Thanks.
Yeah, because I didn't feel that. Like with Vanessa, we always had so Vanessa, you were the oldest, right? So you always just kind of just took care of things for me. It's kind of like what Cameron does. The oldest always has that, just take control of the situation, help mom and dad out. Amelia, you were always very just timid and shy and loving, and there was nothing like that was just annoying. Malika, you were just a joy to watch because you were full speed everywhere you go, running into walls, falling off things, and it was just this it was just the coolest thing to just be this parent and to watch you with such ambition and drive to just go. But no, okay, I'm gonna have to go pick her up here. But none of those things, like there wasn't really. I mean, of course, a kid's gonna get on your nerves. There wasn't really anything that I felt that was just like an absolute struggle of like. I know that like my dad, for instance, he had with one of his kids, he had a situation where it was tough, and he was like, God, I'm really struggling to just even love my child. And then God ended up giving him a love that was so different for that child, you know, just because of how much he was struggling with her behavior and whatnot. So I think in my situation, I do have one child who I love. But what happens is it's usually the one that's the most like you. That you're just like, gosh, see, that you're so much like me, and I just want to, you know.
Grind your
but it's in a beautiful way. It's
yeah.
not a struggle per se. It's just like you feel like the things in you that you battle most, you're having a battle. Not just with you have to battle with them too, right?
Well, it's true because even like me, like Amelia, I feel like doesn't really argue with mom that much. I don't argue with mom that much anymore, but like I used to, and then I'd be so annoyed, and I'd like tell Vanessa, and she'd be like, "Well, it's because you guys argue the exact same way. You guys are literally the same," and I'm like, "Oh." And so it causes you to kind of butt heads,
Like, okay. Yeah, so that makes sense. I was more so just curious, not for a
that's
definitive
a good
answer,
question.
but just
It's a
in a
good
way
question.
as a parent, because we're not parents yet, so we don't have that fight. Okay. Millie, do you have anything you want to ask?
I can't think of it. No.
Malika? No.
What's your hardest song to sing from the chat?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Very good question. Okay, so it's hard. Well, I'll say this. Letter to You, I'll never be able to sing. I'll never be able to perform that song live. There's no way.
You've never performed it?
I've never performed it, and I don't think I couldn't get through it. I couldn't get through it without breaking down, right? So I think that would be hard, right? Because you're so emotional. On tour, I noticed, and this seems crazy because it's probably one of the least talented type songs, Georgia Rain.
Really?
There's something in my tone, in the hook in Georgia Rain, when I go to sing it live, my voice just has a hard time finding that place sometimes. Yeah. You know? And sometimes you're trying to sing and make it sound like the actual record. Yeah. And so you're focused on that versus just getting lost in the music. Yeah. So I would think maybe that. But it also depends. It depends on, the band, how it's playing, the sound. Yeah. There's just different things.
True. There's so many things that go into that.
The fast ones I don't necessarily struggle with. Even some of the ones that are a little bit more vocally challenging. We just did a new one called Stung for Sunny that was just way outside of my box as far as vocals. It was just some stuff I'd never done before. So I don't know, maybe that one will be. Who knows? But very, very good question. Good question.
Yeah, cool.
You got one more?
Do you have any questions that you were missing out on that you want to talk about?
Let's do this. Let's jump to the VIP live stream and then let's dissect a little bit deeper. And we'll come back. We've already been here. We've already been on here for
over an hour.
We're over an hour. All right, Bookface and YouTube. Thank you guys so much for jumping on. we really wanted to get in and kind of start doing this. I'm glad we got a chance to do it. If you guys haven't subscribed, man, like, share, subscribe from this new channel, the CruceTalk channel, because we're going to start doing a podcast on here. We'll start doing a number of other things. A lot of you guys have been asking about church. I know I haven't done it. I've done you wrong. But this weekend, I had this idea, and everybody kept asking. And I'll be honest. I'll use this as a moment of honesty. I kind of struggle with doing the church thing because there's so much battle within myself. And when you start digging deep, it takes a lot to teach the word. And I hate the word pastor is probably the wrong word because I couldn't be that. I've disqualified myself too many times and just by my life choices. But it's hard because it requires a lot of studying to really, really know, to sit down. So I've struggled with doing it. And then it's not something that I feel confident in, and so that the end result, God is using it, and it's a good thing. But you yourself, you feel kind of just like it's tough. It's a hard thing for me to do. So, but I had this idea. I was like, we've been talking a lot about the person of Jesus, and I feel like when we tell these stories and we read the Bible and we kind of go through this stuff, especially when we start doing the church stuff, I'm reading from this book, and we're trying in our modern day mindset to paint a picture of something that happened thousands of years ago in places that we've never been or seen, with people that we have no concept of what their personality was actually like. And so we're trying to paint these, and we all paint kind of in our own individual picture of Jesus. But what I wanted to start doing this weekend, I thought the coolest way to bring church back was let's go in and let's watch The Chosen together. I did a post on Facebook the other day, like, who wants to binge watch a new show? I've been binge watching like Game of Thrones for like the 8th time. And as much as I love this show, it's not good for me mentally. Yeah. It's just not.
Or
it's
anyone.
Awesome. The writing is incredible, but it doesn't.
I tried watching it. I couldn't get into it.
You couldn't?
Really?
No, maybe I need to give it more time. But I just was,
Get out while you can.
I started off confused.
Really?
I felt like it doesn't have a clear entrance.
No, it doesn't have a clear entrance, but I swear after the first episode, it does
after the
make
first
sense.
episode, I got to like the 5th.
Well, no, it's you literally have to create
Yeah, but I
almost
wasn't
a
watching it that
mental
adamantly.
map about
Yeah.
all of the
Yeah.
houses and how they're correlated and who is who
Yeah.
and who is in what house. Once you get that down, it's the easiest thing to understand.
See, that's what I
and it's so
got confused
entertaining.
with.
Yeah.
I know, like, clearly Daenerys Targaryen, is that her name?
Targaryen.
Don't give any spoilers.
No, I just know, like, that's one house,
Yes.
but I get confused, like, the dwarf, what house is he a part of?
Lannister.
Yeah,
Tyrion.
he's Tyrion.
And then that really cool guy, kind of reminds me of Dad. Who's he a part of?
which one?
Cool guys.
Jon Snow?
Yeah.
He's not part of the house. He's with the wall.
He's a Boston.
Oh, he's part of the Wall?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a
Well,
shot.
he's actually from Ned Stark's.
Yeah, he's from Ned
Oh, no, I'm talking about
Boston.
the Starks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their own house.
Oh, okay,
Starks.
okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, yeah, whatever.
it's probably, I really genuinely think it's like one of the best written shows of like all time until you get to the last season. But after I watched it,
I
the
don't
second.
know what the whole. Yeah. Whoa. Before this is the constant debate. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean to go off track
Come on,
here,
dude.
but Game of Thrones. Everybody was so mad about the ending. So mad about it. And to me, even still to this day, I've rewatched it like 4 times. There was no other way for them to end that show. And I don't know what people were talking
don't
about.
spoil it.
I'm not going to, but I'm just saying, people who have watched it know there was no other way to end it. It was the perfect. As much as it sucked, and how much we didn't want to see what happened, there was no other way.
I didn't
for
mind
that
what
to end.
happened.
What do you mean?
I
The
mean,
production of it?
I minded what didn't happen. I was bothered by who did not become the protagonist, the main
Me too.
protagonist.
I don't
It
like
just was a
when
letdown.
things. It just felt like lazy, boring, sloppy.
Yeah. It just, I felt like it was so drug out for so many seasons, right? And you had so much build, and then like, okay, let's just finish it off, and they did it in like 2 episodes.
Yeah, but isn't it because he didn't finish the books? Like, the books
Yeah,
weren't
which
finished?
was not. I mean,
Yeah.
the director.
I mean, don't get me
was
wrong.
incredible.
I can't disagree with the rushing part. I'm just saying
Yeah.
that at the end of the day, I've tried to dissect it, and the
You
way
felt
that
that
it
was the best way.
ended, that's the way that life goes.
But I've
that's how
never
it is.
watched
That's
a good show that was as good as its ending. Like, I've never watched such a good show and been in love with the ending as well. Normally, if I really like the show, I'm slightly disappointed with the ending. I feel like most shows are like that.
So I feel like
Breaking
some
Bad
are.
had
Breaking
like-
Bad was
Breaking Bad.
I feel
couldn't
like though
even
to
finish.
say that's just the way life goes though, it's like you watch TV and stuff to get out of reality.
Yeah, happy
Yeah.
It's the
ending.
one exception for them to do something that's not the way
That's
life
not the
goes.
way
It is
Life
true,
goes, right.
but I think with the context of the show,
Yeah.
Well, I
What
think the
happened
best
made
way
sense.
to not be disappointed with the ending is just watch Walking Dead because it never ends and you
That's
you're
true.
never
Are they
let
still
down.
putting out
It just
more?
or
goes
Grey's
on
Anatomy.
and
Grey's
on.
Anatomy is still going
Wait,
after
is
like
Walking Dead
20
still
seasons.
having episodes
I
come
don't
out?
know. I gave up so long ago.
Yeah,
It's been
because it was
years.
good in the beginning.
But all that to say, like, I've been looking for good shows to watch. I started watching The Chosen, which is on, and I'll put the link on Facebook this weekend. But what I'm going to do is me and the kids started watching this, and I get, like, listen, when people tell you, when someone recommends a new show, I think we probably all have the same reaction. Okay, I'll try that. But we don't ever,
Yeah.
right? So that was the thing, man. Everybody's like, man, you should watch this show about Jesus. And it's like, man, Christian movies are
I've been
just
trying to get better
cheesy.
about that.
They're kind of like, I mean, they're just not done well, and they're just. I started watching this with my kids, and let me tell you, the coolest thing. Any show takes an episode or two to get into. The coolest thing about The Chosen was the humanity of Jesus and the way that was painted
yeah.
in such a normal light. The situations. I mean, you read these stories about these apostles and you think, okay, whatever their struggles were, but you don't think about the marital struggle every time Peter had to go off and on some mission what his wife was going through and things like this. The humanity that's in it's just so beautifully painted. And the main actor, I'm lost for his name, but the main actor that plays Jesus, it's so well done. So my thought was, instead of jumping in and me doing church, let's make it a little bit easier. Let's watch this show. Let's get a cool, like, visual picture of the life of Jesus, because a lot of times you see it in a movie form and you get these certain events and you miss so much. I mean, this is what, I think 4 seasons at this point. And I think we break it down episode by episode and we can kind of touch base on the scriptures. So starting this Sunday, you guys watch it. I'll put the link up. I mean, you can download, it's called the Angel app. You just go on your phone, Angel, or you can look it up on your just online. But you can watch it for free.
on
Me and the
Netflix.
family are going to start again on probably Saturday, maybe Friday night. We'll watch the first episode. I might even come back and watch it on Sunday afternoon so that it's fresh. And then Sunday evening, we'll jump in and we'll start dissecting it episode by episode. I think it'll give us a cool picture of these things that we're reading about. It'll let us, I think put a story with a name a little bit better. So, all right. Guys, we're about to sign off of YouTube. We're about to sign off on Facebook. If you are a VIP member, you can kick it and hang with us. We're going to eat some food. We'll hang out for a little bit. We might
We
ask
can
some
bust
stuff.
into those fries.
I'm trying to bust into those
waiting.
fries.
Down on the fries.
Yeah, I'm trying
They're
to
truffle
bust
fries.
into
You got the
fries.
aioli?
No.
Oh man.
You got
Okay.
what?
You normally comes with an aioli.
Oh, what's an aioli?
I don't know what an aioli
Sorry,
is.
you. It's so good.
You're gonna have to just bring one so I know.
Well, it
The
normally
sauce.
comes with it, but they didn't put it in. I guess.
Next time.
Next time, yeah.
Next time. All right. Bookface, YouTube. Love you guys. We'll catch you next week.
Toodaloo.